The 1984 Firecracker 400 at Daytona is definitely a standout race in NASCAR history. Not only was it Richard Petty's 200th and final career win, with an awesome photo finish, but US President Ronald Reagan would give the command for the drivers to start their engines from the phone inside Air Force One as he was on his way to the track.
All right, gentlemen, start your engines.
Which this was a pretty big moment for NASCAR. Back then too, the summer Daytona race would take place on July 4th no matter what day of the week it was, and this race took place on a Wednesday. And after this race, NASCAR wouldn't race again on a Wednesday until the condensed pandemic season of 2020. Cale Yarbrough would be on the pole with Dale Earnhardt alongside him on the front row.
Qualifying speeds were very close to 200 miles per hour. Cale Yarbrough was above 199 miles per hour in qualifying for this race. A new record in qualifying for the Firecracker 400, and they take the green flag. They're going off on lap one. Yarbrough holding his lead on the inside of the track. Earnhardt is staying right with him. There's a little bit of action as they mix it up in the rows behind them, but Cale Yarbrough is off to a very smooth start and holds the lead as now Earnhardt tries to go by him on the top of the track.
And a puff of smoke from one of the cars. It might have been lake speed there. Earnhardt in the lead going down as they come off that turn. Jim Speed's about 199, almost 200 miles an hour.
The number one car, Lake Speed, is the one that was blowing smoke as they came out of turn two and onto the back straightaway. Now they are into turn three, and as they come around turn three, it is still Earnhardt on the lead.
And at this point, obviously, 400 miles roughly to go. It's important to lead, but on the other hand, you do have to begin to set up your strategy.
Dale Earnhardt would lead at the conclusion of lap one, but he would end up getting passed by Terry Labonte on the back straightaway. As remember, this was pre-restrictor plate era, so these cars were going off 100% motor and the draft was a big deal, so it was easy to get runs on people and make a move without the help of somebody else. The first yellow flag of the race would come out only 5 laps in when Buddy Baker, winner of the previous year's Firecracker 400, would end up losing an engine and taking his car behind the wall, done for the day. When the broadcast would return, the green flag would already be out and Cale Yarbrough would be leading Richard Petty.
Back at Daytona, racing under the green flag, and now the two central characters have moved to the front of the stage. Cale Yarbrough, the pole sitter, on the lead. Richard Petty chasing him in second place.
This race was aired on ABC, but it was actually on tape delay, so it wasn't a live event. And when they aired the broadcast, several parts of the race were actually cut out, so I'm gonna do my best to get every detail. Cale Yarbrough was still leading Richard Petty when they needed to come in for their first green flag pit stop of the race.
Both of the leaders are coming in at the same time. They're coming in past that new wall, which allows for a quicker entry into the pits. The pre-race talk was more danger because of higher entry speeds to the pits. Both these men come in safely. We see Yarbrough headed for his pit now. Petty is stopped. There was a controversy. You see Petty on the lower part of the screen, Yarbrough on the upper part. Controversy before the race. Only 6 men are allowed over the pit wall. Evidently, there have been infringements in the last few races. Petty, as you can see, getting away first, but remember, his pit lies earlier on the track, so they're going to be very close together. You're going to see them. Petty does, however, have the better of the exchange in the pits. Round one of the pits to Richard Petty.
Petty comes out of the pits ahead of Cale Yarbrough. Petty changed right side tires, refueled. Possible for us to tell there for the moment exactly what Yarbrough did, but probably exactly the same thing. And now it is Richard Petty ahead of Cale Yarbrough and the car which had momentarily taken the lead in the race while those two were in there. 22 Bobby Allison has now come in for a pit stop, so they will assume the lead again.
The second yellow flag of the day would come out on lap 42 when Bobby Hillin had this huge accident on the back straightaway.
So it gives you some idea how fast he's probably still moving at this point. That car, 3,700 pounds. It hits the bank, a tremendous clout, but because of the strength of these cars, no injury is likely at all. He is the son of a man that owned cars at Indianapolis, and he's one of the youngest drivers in NASCAR racing. I think a big future despite what's just happened.
And the good news, Sam Posey, is that Hillin is out of the car and okay, but under the caution flag, Richard Petty has gone back into the pits. The first pit stop was under the green. Now under the yellow, Petty is changing the left side rubber. He will fall back in the standings as the other drivers go by. And out on the racetrack, Cale Yarbrough in car 28 has taken the lead. Now it is still Cale Yarbrough in the red and white car, number 28 on the lead. He has been pressed in the last couple of laps by car number 3, the blue and yellow one, Dale Earnhardt. Behind them, Bobby Allison, number 22, is in 3rd place. Richard Petty, who had dropped as far back as 12th, has moved back up into 4th place. Joe Ruttman is in 5th, but the 4 cars on your screen right now are the leading pack. They are Yarbrough, Earnhardt, Allison, and Petty.
Once again, we would miss a few laps after the restart, but Richard Petty, who had to restart in 12th after electing to come to pit road and get 4 tires on a pit stop, had to restart the race in 12th, but wasted no time finding his way back up towards the front of the pack. And by lap 76, he was leading again, but he wouldn't be able to just pull away from the pack, as over the next 30 laps of the race, almost every single lap had a different driver lead it at the start-finish line for an official lead change. And Cale Yarbrough and Dale Earnhardt were putting the pressure on the king. On lap 84, one of the most iconic moments of the race, President Ronald Reagan landing in Air Force One along the back straightaway while the race was going on. Such a cool moment.
As the cars go by, the leaders have just taken their second scheduled pit stop for the race, and for the moment it is car number 22, Bobby Allison at the helm, which has assumed the lead in the race.
At this point, Bobby Allison was leading Kyle Petty, but this was the middle of a green flag pit stop cycle, and Bobby Allison would hit pit road on this very lap. With Allison on pit road, this would cycle the lead back around to Cale Yarbrough and Richard Petty, and the race was beginning to look like that it was gonna come down to Cale Yarbrough or Richard Petty, as they were able to distance themselves from the rest of the field. The race would go extremely long without a caution, 107 laps to be exact, so the broadcast skipped a good portion of it and brought it back towards the end of the race. Coming to 3 to go, Richard Petty was looking to hold off Cale Yarbrough.
There will be 3 laps remaining in the race. They're now on lap 150, and a car is spun out. Doug Heveron's car is spun out in turn 1. So now the yellow caution flag may be coming out. Indeed, as I look just below us, the yellow caution flag is going to come out. This will, in all intents and purposes, perhaps be the last lap of the race. The rule requires them to solidify under the caution at the beginning of the next lap.
It's an incredible situation. Now, are they going to race to the line? This is an interesting rule situation, Jim. You are allowed to race to the line once the yellow has come out. Cale Yarbrough did that. Richard Petty is counterattacking. This may be the race that we're looking at here as they sweep up into traffic. A highly dangerous situation.
Coming down the front straight. Here they are, Sam. They will come across the yellow line just about together, but Petty had the lead. By the nose of the car, Richard Petty was just in front of Cale Yarbrough as they came across the line. Now they have completed 158 laps. There are 2 laps to go, and in all likelihood, we would have to guess this race is going to end under a caution and Petty's going to win.
What a finish, and what a way for Richard Petty to win his 200th race. Photo finish at the line, coming to the caution flag to end the race. So Cale Yarbrough would come up short at the line, but he would also make a pretty big mistake here as he thinks that the race is over, and he would actually end up coming down pit road. Thankfully, he didn't stop or anything, and he would drive right through, but due to this mistake, he would end up losing the 2nd position to Harry Gant and would have to settle for 3rd place, and is very lucky he didn't end up losing even more spots. And just like that, the one and only driver in NASCAR history would clinch his 200th career win, a record that will never ever be touched in the Cup Series. What made this race even more special is that it wasn't a traditional victory lane celebration, at least not in the beginning, as Richard Petty would make his way up to the booth and do a little celebration with President Ronald Reagan, which was honestly pretty damn cool, before making his way down for a traditional NASCAR victory lane celebration celebrating his 200th career win. But unfortunately, on the broadcast, we wouldn't get to see this moment, and it would pretty much end here. That's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like NASCAR history, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I hope to see you next week. That's all for now. Take care, everyone.